Got done watching another couple episodes of Bill Nye Saves the World. And for this video, I want to talk about the episode where Bill Nye was covering pseudoscience, confirmation bias, astrology, and things of this matter. So, the first segment of the show, Bill Nye covered what's called chemtrails. Supposedly this idea that airplanes, when they make these streaks in the sky, that these are chemicals designed for mind control. Now, this is not a conspiracy theory that I'm familiar with. Maybe I'll look it up another time. But then again, this might be something that's just a little too silly for me to bother with. But in this episode, he really focused on astrology. I think that was kind of the main thing in this particular episode. And with astrology, of course, they're like, hey, this is silly, this is nonsense, and well, yeah, it's silly and it's nonsense. And it's almost like, okay, why are we talking about this? What are we actually trying to prove here? Are we actually, getting somewhere with this show, or are we just, staying in one spot? So, there really wasn't anything to show that astrology is wrong, even though, I would agree with Bill Nye that astrology is wrong. But it's kind of interesting that I almost didn't know what to say in response to this episode, but then it occurred to me, wait a minute, the Bible condemned astrology right along. So we have, in the Bible, you have it where God tells the Israelites, don't bother with astrology, ignore this stuff, it's nonsense. And even in the New Testament, I believe that there's passages, saying, hey, stay away from astrology. But overall, the Bible is pretty strong on staying away from superstition. Now, of course, I know atheists will laugh and troll, hey, the Bible's superstition, okay, whatever. Because, they're 5 years old and they don't know how to, compose a coherent argument. But what I really see with this episode is, hey, it's ironic that after thousands of years, or 3,000 years ago, people believed in astrology as strongly as people believe in evolution today. Now, that doesn't mean that evolution's wrong. It doesn't prove astrology's wrong. But even at that time, the Bible said astrology is nonsense. Stay away from it. And so I think that in a kind of ironic twist, I'm not sure if you can call it scientific foreknowledge, but it does show that there's kind of this foreknowledge in the Bible where the Bible itself said these superstitions, these mediums, astrologers, all this sort of stuff, stay away from it. And it was actually because Christians were because they viewed magic and things like that with suspicion during the Middle Ages, maybe not as much as they could have viewed it with more suspicion, but, they were more open-minded than, people realize. But because they were really skeptical of magic and things like this, it really helped to create an environment where science was fostered, where science grew. People viewed the universe as being created by a God who was logical, rational, and who was unchanging, and who wanted the universe to be understood. And they expected the universe to reflect God's nature. So the boiling point of water at sea level today, under standard conditions, would be the same as it is tomorrow, it'll be the same as it was yesterday, etc. Whereas, in pagan mythology, you might have it where the boiling point of water changed because Loki decided to wave a magic staff over your village that day. And so the idea of science as we know it was, in modern science, what we consider science was all but impossible from a pagan mindset. And so it's interesting that, Bill Nye prides himself on, wanting to be very scientific, being very rational, and, rejecting things like astrology. But he doesn't realize how much he owes to this. He doesn't realize how much he owes to the Christian worldview. By the way, if you're hearing growling, that's my neighbor's dog barking at my dog. you know, they have fun playing through the fence. But anyway, there's not really much else I could say in review of this episode. I thought it was really cool that they ended up doing the fire walking towards the end of the show. I was like, hey, you know, this is really entertaining. This is really a lot of fun, and so I gotta give Bill Nye credit where I think that there's a lot of his episodes. I think that he really could cover a lot more. He could really go a lot deeper. Really give a lot more meat. A lot more meat, less fluff. But when he, you know, puts on the skits and he, you know, has people dance around in costumes or whatever, he really does keep the show entertaining. So that much I'll say to his credit, definitely. And I'll say there's definitely episodes where I really appreciate what he says, and there's episodes where I'm like, you know what, I couldn't disagree with him more. So be sure to subscribe, comment, rate. Be sure to share this video with your friends. And leave me a comment in the comment box. Let me know what you think, because honestly, I really do value the feedback from people as much as I'll, you know, say to some people with feedback, I'll say, you know, that's, you know, I might say, you know, this feedback really isn't very helpful. I still appreciate it. You know, no matter what people say, even if people are trolling, I actually do appreciate the comments. But thanks for watching this video. This is Greg, out.